Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Hello.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
It's another surprise day.
It is?
It's Wednesday.
Is that what's
Mickey
called?
Mouse Club surprise
that's
day.
right, surprise day. And most importantly, surprise, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our super chat feature in the live chat. And as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we'll answer your questions in the second part of the show. All right, guys. That all down. Let's get things kicked off here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. Of course, what is a show without talking about the Warner Brothers, Netflix, Paramount drama?
I know, right?
A lot of stuff going on there, and there are, of course, new developments now. Now, of course, you guys know, just to catch you up to speed, Warner Brothers has put itself up for sale, and they've made an agreement with Netflix. Paramount has not given up, and with Netflix's blessing, Paramount now has 1 week to submit their best and final bid for Warner Brothers. We discussed that yesterday. Ted Sarandos, the El Capitan over at Netflix, he was asked, why are you allowing Warner Brothers, you have a signed deal with them, why are you giving them a 1 week window to talk to Paramount?
Yeah, come on.
And he said some pretty interesting stuff. He says, well, number one, Paramount has been flooding the airwaves with misinformation, trying to confuse the issue. And he said, number two, we think giving them 1 week to actually put it all in writing will give extra clarity to the Warner Brothers shareholders who we feel very confident are going to vote for us and our deal come March.
Hey, Ted knows his gal. He knows she ain't.
He knows his lady.
Yeah.
He knows what she likes.
Yeah.
So that's what he said, and pretty interesting nonetheless. Well, now Warner Brothers' own board is issuing some warnings to their shareholders. As is being reported in the Business Insider, Warner Brothers saying they've gotten threats from their own employees saying they're just going to straight up quit if Paramount gets Warner Brothers, which could do a couple of things. It could murky the waters for the investors, although what would the investors care, or what would the share owners care after they get paid out? It doesn't matter to them if the Warner Brothers employees quit. But it could be a warning flare in the air for Paramount saying, hey, listen, we know you're going to lay off a lot of people, but you may lose people you don't want to lose, even if you do get our thing here. And by the way, you know, we've been talking about one of the big advantages of Netflix getting Warner Brothers is that they're not going to lay anybody off because they have no overlap. Warner Brothers is a completely different kind of business than Netflix is. Paramount has publicly stated their plans for Warner Brothers include $6 billion in cuts. I did a little research today. Pulled out the old calculator. Wrote down some numbers. Between interns and assistants, that can make upwards of $60,000 to $65,000. Mid-level management people can make like $120,000, $130,000. And your senior executive people, the average salary of somebody who works for Warner Brothers is about $130,000 a year. Some people make less, some people make a bunch more, but the average salary of the average Warner Brothers employee is $130,000 a year. With them talking about $6 billion in cuts, that's like 50,000 jobs. Now, I don't even think Warner Brothers has 50,000 employees.
Right.
So they're probably amortizing that over, say, 5 years worth of savings. That's still over 10,000 people they're planning on killing their jobs from that, which is kind of interesting. Now, of course, one of the big threats that Paramount keeps hammering at the shareholders of Warner Brothers is, you know, this Netflix deal is never going to get past regulatory stuff. It's going to get killed by the government. Bullshit. And Paramount knows it. Because if Paramount really thought, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today who brought this up again. If Paramount really thought that this Netflix deal with Warner Brothers could never go through, you know what you would do if you were Paramount? Shh. you would just stay back in the shadows, keep your mouth shut. You would wait for this deal to get killed by the regulatory board and then sweep in and buy Warner Brothers for pennies on the dollar. Right now, they have to put in bids billions more than they want to spend because they know they're competing against Netflix. If Paramount actually believed, and they don't, but if Paramount actually believed that the Netflix deal wouldn't go through, they wouldn't say anything. They would just sit back and wait for Netflix, their only competitor, to be taken out of the picture and then sweep in and go, yeah, we said we'd buy you for $30 a share. We're thinking $25 a share. And what else could Warner Brothers do? There's no other buyers. So Paramount knows exactly like what's going on. They know they're just trying to float this as a specter in the night. That being said, you know, even it looks like, Rob, even according to this report in Business Insider, even the employees of Warner Brothers know Paramount getting us is a bad idea. Now, again, Paramount has 1 week to come up with their biggest and best offer. And listen, fair play. If they come in with a significantly better offer and they change the way it's going to be financed, and it is legitimately the best offer for the Warner Brothers shareholders, I have no qualms with Warner Brothers shareholders approving it. But you and I both know that's not going to happen. So this is really interesting, Rob. Rob, you saw this report from Business Insider. What's your big takeaway from it?
Well, I've talked to some people I know at Warner Brothers, and they're not fans of Paramount taking over, you know. And I think, again, if Paramount was coming off the year that Warner Brothers had in 2025, maybe I would say great. But Warner Brothers is cooking with gas right now. What's Paramount doing? Why would you want Paramount to take over? It's not like Paramount's on this great streak proving what amazing entertainment. I mean, Taylor Sheridan's gone, and their entire streaming service is based around their shows that he makes, and he's out. You know, the Stranger Things guys, what are they going to do? What's Paramount doing that makes anybody want Paramount to buy them? Other than the fact that they're going to come in and wreck Warner Brothers, and they're going to get rid of a studio that's, let's face it, working compared to a studio that's not really doing anything. And I think that alone tells you something about the state of the industry. I mean, I've never seen anything that Paramount has come out and said about why they're so gung-ho. Like, why do they want this? What are they going to do? How are you going to make your, like, okay, the shareholders get money and then they're out. Is that it? You know, they're gone. Well, what's the advantage? Why not have a company that's continuing to make money, whose stock price can increase and your value can be made more? Because every movie that Warner Brothers puts out lately seems to open at number one, even if it's one battle after another, which did open at number one, it's going to win Best Picture. Yeah. I mean, Emerald Fennell's got Emily Bronte adaptation in the theaters that's going to cross $100 million this weekend. I mean, let Warner Brothers be Warner Brothers.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, there's some rumblings going around that a lot of the Warner Brothers staff are just going to up and quit before Paramount even has a chance to come in and cut all the jobs and take all the jobs away. At least that's what it looks like on the outside to somebody like me. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, you know, it's good to be in the universe of Game of Thrones right now because we just had the second to last episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which we talked about the other day, which was great. I've really enjoyed this show a lot, but you know what? A show I like even more, House of the Dragon. I have absolutely loved this show. And I've been waiting around like everybody else to find out when it's coming back. They've been really, really frustratingly quiet about when we're going to get House of the... Oh, I remember that shot when it happened in this show. I was like, oh! Anyway, sitting around waiting, when are we getting it? Well, the wait is over because according to social media posts by HBO and being reported by places like Winter is Coming, House of the Dragon, Season 3 release month finally confirmed by HBO. It's coming in June. It's coming in June. And our first trailer is coming out tomorrow.
Yay.
That seems to be a big trend this week, announcing when a new trailer is coming tomorrow. But they've got a new trailer coming out tomorrow. And I got to tell you, I've loved it. This is what they wrote over at Winter's Coming. We may be only days away from the season finale of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but HBO is finally getting its marketing machine rolling for its other Game of Thrones spinoff, House of the Dragon. Today, the show's official social media account dropped a big announcement that we've been waiting for, the release month, and the release month is June. They haven't said which week in June. I'm going to guess it's probably somewhere near the end of June, but it's coming in June, just a few months away. And again, we're going to get our first look at the trailer tomorrow. I remember going into the first episode of season 1 of House of the Dragon and being like everybody else, really curious. Like, what's this going to feel like? What's it going to be like? How are they going to pick up, like, after pop culturally the biggest show of all time with Game of Thrones? How are they going to do it? And my God, they started that show off with a bang, like with an absolute bang. And I fell in love with this show from episode 1. And then in episode 2, because they didn't do it in episode 1, what a great smart move. In episode 2, they start the show with that Game of Thrones theme. And I remember some people going, wait, that's the Game of Thrones theme. Why not get your own theme? And I remember arguing at the time, I loved it because as soon as in episode 2, they start playing that theme, emotionally, spiritually, Rob, I felt like I was going back into Westeros.
It's the Westeros theme.
It's the Westeros theme.
It's the Westeros national anthem.
And it was great because it's really, House of the Dragon is not a spin-off of Game of Thrones. It's the prequel episodes to Game of Thrones. And I know there are some people that didn't like season 2 as much. I think it's fair to say that there was 1 or 2 episodes that were weaker than any of the episodes in season 1, but there were also 1 or 2 episodes that were better than anything that was in episode season 1. Like that one episode, I forget, The Queen That Never Was, I forget.
Oh.
But when she and her dragon gets killed and so it's like, oh my God. It was like, anyway, I love this show. Daemon's the man. I'm with Ray on this. Daemon Targaryen. Ray refers to him as my prince. That's all he has to do. Whenever you bring up Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, he doesn't refer to Matt Smith. He doesn't refer to Daemon Targaryen. He just says my prince. And I agree with him. I love this character. That episode in season 2, when you thought he was kind of getting ready to stab Rhaenyra in the back, then she shows up and he's like, puts the crown on her, kneels, and like his whole brigade take the knee. And it's like, oh my, this show is awesome. I don't care what anybody says. This show's great. We got our first posters. You got the poster there, Jonathan? I don't know if you already brought that up.
You know what I did? And doggone it, I deleted it by accident. Let me grab it again. Sorry about that.
Let me see if I've got it here. I've got it here.
All right.
So here we go. The poster came out. From fire comes darkness. I love that. And she's sitting there on the throne coming in June and stuff like that. I think this is great, and I cannot wait to watch this trailer. Anyway, Rob, quite frankly, this is coming sooner than I thought. I was guessing it was going to be September or October or something like that before we got this. It's now coming in just a few months in June. We're getting the trailer tomorrow. What are your thoughts?
Dude, I can't wait. I remember us when the first season dropped, we had one of the great Patty Considine.
Oh, he's so good.
I mean, we're just marveling every week.
He should have won an Emmy.
Yeah, he should have. He was incredible. And how the show was different than Game of Thrones was, but just as compelling. And the way that they drew those lines between the two factions and all of it was so... it just kept going. I mean, the only misstep that I think season 2 made was they cut it short before the big battle, and that was it. But I'm sure that's how we're gonna see that happen. But
unless they pull a Rome from HBO,
but we did get several big battles.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But I mean, the show is just, the actors are great. The feel of the show is great. It's different. It's just as compelling. I love the characters. I just love this show. I love the whole world. I mean, and let's face it, Game of Thrones for me really petered out after season 6. Season 7 and 8, that's when it all started to kind of unravel. I know you're a big fan. I still
love 7 and 8. I really did.
But
I love 7.
I mean, I still liked it. It's still some of the greatest television that's ever been made. But, I wondered, could they duplicate that success? And I think with House of Dragon, it's a superb show. I just can't wait to see the next season.
It was really pretty cool, but very shaking surprise. What is the name of that new Tom Holland, Pierce Brosnan? Is it called Gangster? It's either called Gangster or Mobster, that new show that they just did. I can't remember the name of it. I watched it and I loved it. But King Viserys.
Oh, not Tom Holland. Tom
Hardy, I mean.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
What's the name of it again?
Yes.
It's either Gangster
Gangland or
Gangland.
Mobland.
Mobland.
Yeah. There we go.
That's what it is.
That show was dope.
When King Viserys looks so much younger.
Yeah.
And like to see him pop up again, which again, he should have won an Emmy for House of the Dragon. But to see him in Mobland, he's really good in Mobland, acting alongside that is an underappreciated show. Not enough people talk about that show. I think it's really good. Anyway, very excited that we're going to get House of the Dragon season 3 in June. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? And what are you expecting to see in this trailer tomorrow? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Bum, 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 bum. I've been whistling. You can ask John. I've been whistling the theme all day. Anyway. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. Well, what's a show unless we talk a little bit about Avengers Doomsday?
I don't know.
And we're not really going to talk about Avengers Doomsday per se, but there is a general consensus going around, of course, that once we get past Doomsday and once we get past Avengers Secret Wars, that Marvel is basically going to be cleaning house. We're going to get all new X-Men, probably get a whole bunch of new Avengers characters, a lot of the old guard. First of all, a lot of the old guard are already gone. Some of them have come back. They're all going to be gone and swept away, and it's a new era after Secret Wars. Well, maybe a bit, but maybe it's not as much as you think. Because according to a new interview with Chris Hemsworth and Kevin Feige are planning on Thor still being around after Avengers Doomsday and after Secret Wars. This comes to us from the folks over at IGN. Say, we've got some ideas. Chris Hemsworth confirms Thor future following Avengers Doomsday. And it writes this. He says this. It's been so much fun, Hemsworth said via the playlist, after confirming there were plans for him to return post-Doomsday more than once. Unlike a lot of what the other characters that the actors were given, they have had to be pretty consistent. Whereas working with Taika Waititi on his films versus Kenneth Branagh and those films, and then with the Russos, all the films had quite different sorts of tonal opinion, which basically, Thor was kind of a different character every time. You really got to see him change and evolve and be different. I was talking to Kevin Feige about it, and he said it's cool because the audience now expects dramatic turns with Thor. He continued, this is the key part. And whatever we do next, we've got some ideas to do something pretty unique again and hopefully be different. So Chris Hemsworth confirming that him and Feige are already talking about what comes next with Thor, with him, and they're already starting to come up with some ideas. Look, I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I've loved him since the Kenneth Branagh. I think Kenneth Branagh's Thor is the second most underrated and underappreciated comic book film of all time. Number one, of course, being my boy Henry, and Man of Steel is the most underrated comic book film of all time. But number two, I honestly think is Kenneth Branagh's and Chris Hemsworth's first Thor movie. I really think it's tragically underrated. That being said, the thing I really like about this is the sense of continuity. Because I think one of the things, there are many issues that Marvel's had since 2019, but one of the big ones they've had to deal with is that they were in such a rush to introduce so many new characters so quickly without ever even really revisiting them again. Where's Shang-Chi 2, by the way? That to have characters like Thor still be there and have a presence in the universe, at least to some degree, still makes it feel like somewhat of a recognizable Marvel Cinematic Universe. And with the period of great change coming after Doomsday and after Secret Wars, the idea that they still may have some, dare I say, anchor beings still around, particularly somebody who's played the role as great as Thor has, or as great as Chris Hemsworth has, I really like the idea, and I love it a lot. Also, it might give us some insight about what will or will not happen to Thor in the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars. Anyway, Rob, you read this interview that Chris Hemsworth did. First of all, I think he's really astute pointing out the fact that I've got to play Thor in many different ways with different directors, and we're already coming up with new ways to play him after these Avengers films. What do you think about his comments and what's standing out to you the most?
Well, I think that, like you pointed out, I mean, these are characters that where a Thor was literally the second character introduced in the MCU, you know, and I think that people have loved his performances. And even when Thor's talking to Rocket Raccoon, you can get pathos and you can get real emotion. Look, I thought Thor Love and Thunder is that and Quantumania are a borderline unwatchable, unfortunately, because you don't want to see that. There's nothing in Love and Thunder that's fun because it's all a goof. You know, I mean, it's funny, but it's like, you know, after Ragnarok, where you had a lot of serious stuff go down, to double down on the silliness, I don't think served the universe or the character well. And just the clip that they've released from Doomsday, where you know that some big stuff is going to go down, he can bring, what Hemsworth does is bring a kingliness to Thor. I mean, I know he's a god, he's a thunder god, but like, if they wanted to make him king of the Asgardians or whatever, King Thor, and give him some kind of a House of the Dragon-esque storyline where he had to make difficult decisions, I'd watch that, you know, and I think seeing that clip shows you that they could go any direction with Thor and make it work, just like he points out himself. And whatever they do after Secret Wars, I mean, if they follow along, they consolidate the universe down to one universe, and there's a whole new generation of characters. And if they're going to keep the old school guys around, I think that's a good idea, you know, and do, I don't know what Asgard's going to look like. Is it going to stay on Earth? Is Midgard going to come back and then Asgard will be rebuilt somehow? I don't know, but
Will
I
they
think
find a new world.
Yeah, whatever they do, I'm looking forward to it. But I do think it's smart to keep, because look at how smart it was to put Steve Rogers in and make him one of the focuses.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, you know, I think my favorite Thor movie, it's close between the original Thor, but is Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And the brilliance of Thor Ragnarok, and this is what I'm worried about a little bit moving forward. The brilliance of Thor Ragnarok, I thought, was that perfect balance in tone that Taika Waititi found. Like, you had some devastating, dark, serious stuff happen.
Yeah.
And it was juxtaposed against the lighthearted, jovial kind of stuff. And it was constantly going back and forth between it, and it was a perfect balance. The problem, the ultimate base problem with Thor Love and Thunder, and it had its moments.
Yeah.
But the main problem with it was they forgot that balance, and they swung the pendulum way too much to just the silly. My fear, I'm not saying they're going to do this, I'm just saying it was what I'd be worried about, is that they overcompensate, and instead of getting back to that balance that Thor Ragnarok had, swinging the pendulum way too far the other way and just having dour Thor. I hope they don't make that mistake and overcompensate. You know what I mean?
But he's never really been totally dour.
That's
like,
true.
Even in the first movie. So there is a grandiosity that you have to embrace with the Thor character, because he doesn't take himself too seriously. I mean, he knows it's funny because, you know, and I think they're going to handle him correctly. And knowing the things we know about Doomsday, I really look forward to seeing Thor is portrayed in that film, because stuff's going to go down.
Anyway, guys, question is for you.
We're like moving on from that.
What do you think about this? Chris Hemsworth is basically saying him and Kevin Feige have already started talking about what do we do with Thor after these Avengers films. It sounds like he's going to be sticking around for a while. Whatever you guys take away from it, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. You know, a little while ago, they released the first trailer for this Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And it was just a teaser, but I was very impressed with it. I was like, whoa, this looks creepy as hell. Well, today they've dropped another, but a much more full and fleshed out trailer for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And I got to tell you, it is one of the creepiest trailers I've seen in years. I'm not sitting here telling you or prophesying that this is going to be like the best horror film we've seen. And I'm not necessarily saying that, but I am saying, as far as a trailer goes, that's supposed to make me feel the heebie-jeebies. This one did it. I mean, just look at the thumbnail of the YouTube. I've got it right here of the trailer. Just that image makes me not to want to take a nap. I do not want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I'd miss you, babe, and I don't want to miss a thing. But I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that in my nightmares. They go on and they also talk about they remind us, of course, what the synopsis is. The young daughter of a journalist disappeared into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she is returned to them as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living nightmare. Of course, we had that one before. And of course, now that we've seen this new trailer, they get her 8 years later and she has not aged. Well, I mean, could have used a skincare routine, but other than that...
Your kid's alive. She's kind of rotting, but you could take her home, I guess.
Oh, there's a part in the trailer where the dad is talking to somebody. It's like, we found like 32 sarcophagus.
Yeah.
How many were alive? And they never answer it in the trailer.
Yeah.
They never answer it in the trailer. Listen, again, I don't know how good or bad the movie itself will be. But as we talk on the show all the time, the job of a trailer is to move the needle for you. If you weren't very excited, make you a little bit excited. If you were excited, make you really excited. This trailer continues to move the needle for me. I have gone from hearing about this going, that's weird. Another mummy kind of film, but a different kind of one. Yeah, sure. To now, I really want to watch this movie. I really want to see how this goes. Rob, I loved the trailer. I really did. I thought maybe they started to show a little bit too much by the time you getting close to the end of it, but it freaked me out. It really did. What did you think about this trailer?
Well, like you, I really enjoyed it as well. You know, I've heard some varying reports about this movie in terms of its quality.
Yeah, I think those have been debunked. Like the James Wan thing, I think that one's debunked.
But this trailer, dude, like I love cosmic horror, you know, and whatever, like the Lovecraftian old ones pulling the strings of humanity. I love that stuff. This freaked me out, if only because the premise, she like disappears in the desert and comes back looking like this 8 years later. I'm in. You know, I want to know who did this. Why did this happen? It really was, the premise is unsettling. You know, it's not like somebody who's wrapped in bandages and they came back from 2,000 years ago. That could happen. It's real. It's fantasy. I buy it. But this, the way they've tied in a verisimilitude to the mummy mythology, like something happened to her that could, they made it real as opposed to being totally fantastical. And that's horrifying. The way that she's being depicted, and this trailer just accentuated that. And like you said, there's more than one. Like this is this a disease? Is this something people can catch? Like, are we all in trouble? It really had this tremendous sense of dread in it. That's what I look for in my horror. A profound sense of dread.
Well,
I'm in.
Even that moment in the beginning where they open the door and the door swings and it just says weapon, like from the creator of Weapons.
Oh, yeah. And then it moves.
I'm not on camera, but as the door swings open,
that was pretty creative. That was pretty slick.
Bring it in. Bring it on.
Guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see this trailer for this new Mummy movie? I got to tell you, I thought it looked great. I mean, some of you probably clicked on it that, where's Brendan Fraser? That's a different Mummy movie. This is something completely different. I don't know if the movie's going to be any good. I don't know. But it looks damn good. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Listen, we still got a number of other things we got to talk about, including Sonic 4 just cast their voice of Amy Rose and it's Kristen Bell. We're going to talk about that. And as a result of a new book that's come out in Barnes & Noble, we now have our first synopsis of Spider-Man Brand New Day. We're going to talk about those things and a few things more. But before we do, there's a bunch of other things going on in the world of movie news and TV news that we don't have time to talk about in depth, but we want to make sure you guys are caught up to speed. So this is a little segment we call In Other News. First up, move over, Brad Pitt. There is a new queen of the streaming charts. The A24 fantasy romance Eternity, starring Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Caleb Turner, has officially claimed the #1 spot on Apple TV Plus in 86 countries. Now, this marks a major shift for the platform as it finally ends the, get this, 63-day dominance of the Formula One blockbuster F1. Released just in time for Valentine's Day, Eternity has quickly become a global sensation, proving that audiences are trading in high-speed racing for high-concept romance. Next up, the Wizarding World is buzzing. Daniel Radcliffe recently spoke out about the upcoming HBO Harry Potter reboot, and he has a heartfelt plea for the fans. He's asking everyone to give the new young cast, Dominic McLaughlin, Arabella Stanton, and Alastair Stout, some space to make the roles their own. Radcliffe mentioned he doesn't want to be a quote-unquote spectral phantom hanging over their lives, and urged the press not to constantly ask them about the original three trio in the Harry Potter world. It's a class act from the OG Boy Who Lived, as the franchise is set to premiere with the new Harry Potter series in 2027. Next up, in more AI battle news, Warner Brothers has officially declared war on ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. The studio is accusing them of blatant infringement regarding their new AI video tool, CDance 2.0, which we talked about a bunch yesterday. Apparently, the AI was trained on iconic IP like Warner Brothers' Batman, Superman, and Game of Thrones, allowing users to create high-quality knockoff clips and alternative endings. Warner Brothers joins Disney and Paramount in demanding strict guardrails, essentially telling ByteDance they can't just use Hollywood's lifeblood to fuel their algorithms. Moving on to international news with an actual happy ending, Mehdi Mahmoodian, the Oscar-nominated co-writer of the acclaimed film It Was Just an Accident, has been released from an Iranian prison. Mahmoodian was arrested earlier this month after signing a statement criticizing the regime's crackdown on protesters. His release on bail comes at a pivotal time. You see, he's currently up for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. The film itself is a revenge drama inspired by the director's own experiences with incarceration, making this real-life release feel even more poignant. Next up, do we have our new live-action Gwen Stacy? Word on the street is that Spider-Man Brand New Day may have found its new Gwen Stacy. Rumors are swirling that Mad Men and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina star Kiernan Shipka has been cast in the role. A fan supposedly spotted her filming near the building used for Peter Parker's apartment, sparking theories that Gwen will be Peter's new college neighbor. While Sadie Sink's name has also been in the mix, I mean, let's face it, she's going to be Jean Grey, Shipka's name is gaining major traction as we get closer to the film's July 2026 release. Next up, and on a more somber note, we lost a true icon of the screen. Tom Noonan, the actor famous for his chilling and towering presence in films like Manhunter and RoboCop 2, has passed away at the age of 74. His co-star, Karen Silas, shared the news, noting he passed away peacefully on Valentine's Day. Noonan was a master of playing complex, unsettling characters, from the Tooth Fairy serial killer to Frankenstein's monster, but he was also a brilliant Sundance-winning writer and director. He leaves behind a legacy of transformative performances that defined a generation of indie and genre cinema. And finally, things are getting heated in the world of late night. Stephen Colbert is currently in a public standoff with his network CBS. The network pulled an interview with Texas Senate candidate James Tallarico from the broadcast, citing concerns over the FCC's quote-unquote equal time rules. By the way, a rule that has never applied to late night talk shows before. Colbert didn't take it lying down. He blasted the decision on air, calling it a quote-unquote dangerous kind of cancel culture, and moved the entire interview to YouTube, where it is already racking up huge numbers to the tune of almost 6 million views. It's a fascinating look at how traditional TV is grappling with new regulations and political pressures from the current administration. And that'll do it for In Other News. And that wraps up In Other News. Again, guys, please let us know in the comments or in the live chat if you like this segment or not. We're still kind of experimenting with it. Maybe you think it's really valuable. Maybe you think it's a waste of time. Whatever you think, just let us know down below. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, the Sonic movies are a delight. I've liked all three of them. I think all three of them have been good. I unfortunately did not like the Knuckles series. I was looking forward to that one. I didn't think that one ended up being very good, but they all kind of follow a formula. You go through the movie, then at the end, they tease another character from the Sonic universe that then comes into the next movie. They did that with Tails at the end of the first one, Knuckles at the end of the second, I believe, and then Shadow. No, so Shadow was at the end of the second, then Shadow came into the third. So they tease him out. Then at the end of the third, they hinted at the character, well, didn't hint, they showed her, of Amy Rose. And now we know who's going to do the voice. Sonic 4 has officially cast Kristen Bell to do the voice of Amy Rose. The Hollywood Reporter writes the following. Paramount Pictures, Sonic, you see, I'll get this a little bit bigger for you guys can read it. Paramount Pictures Sonic the Hedgehog franchise has found the voice for its Amy Rose. Kristen Bell has closed a deal to voice the character in Sonic the Hedgehog 4, the latest in the studio's hit based on the Sega video games. The franchise keeps adding bold-faced names to the voice cast with each entry. Bell now joins series stalwarts Ben Schwartz, who voices Sonic, Idris Elba, who voices Knuckles, and who joined in Sonic 2, and Keanu Reeves, who voiced Shadow as a part of Sonic 3. Okay. How long can the Sonic movies go? I'm not really sure. And it's weird to say, but like the MVP of the Sonic movies haven't been Sonic. They've actually been Jim Carrey. And the report does go on to say that they're expecting Jim Carrey to come back again, which is great because, again, I think he stole these movies. I love Sonic, James Marsden, and The Adopted Parents. I think they're great. Again, these are just charming, delightful, entertaining movies that I've enjoyed a great deal. I don't know if they can do many more beyond this one. We'll see. But listen, whenever you add good talent, and Kristen Bell has already got a track record of doing animated voices as well. I mean, little franchise, billion-dollar franchise known as Frozen. Anybody? Of course, she's got that big Nobody Wants This. That's actually a surprisingly good show that I think is on Netflix right now.
It's really good.
That she's actually really quite good in. All that kind of stuff. And of course, to me, she will always be Sarah Marshall. Just always be Sarah Marshall. At some point, they got to figure out a way to get Jason Segel as a guest appearance on Nobody Wants This. That would be perfect. Anyway, you know me. I generally prefer to hear of full-time, lifelong, professionally trained voice actors to do the voices of animated characters. But if you got to go for a big star, this is a pretty good one to get. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this. What do you think?
Kristen Bell can do no wrong in my world.
Sure, you're right. You're right.
I've loved her since Veronica Mars, man. And I think she's just great. Every time you see her on a talk show appearance, she's great. Her husband is great. I'm sure that she's a great mom, but I like her as a voice talent as well. So as far as I'm concerned, Kristen Bell can be in anything and everything, and she should be.
Just put her in everything.
I would.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Sonic 4 has cast the character they teased at the end of the last one, Amy Rose, and it's Kristen Bell. Do you like the casting? Or do you even like the Sonic movies? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Of course, as we bring up from time to time, you would be forgiven with all of the hype happening around Avengers Doomsday that's coming if you forget once in a while that, oh yeah, in a few months, we've got another Spider-Man movie coming. And the last one, I don't know, only almost joined the $2 billion club, the most exclusive club of all of movies. It made like 1.9 something billion, which is crazy. And we got a new Spider-Man coming. Of course, we got Sadie Sink, who, she's going to be Jean Grey. We've got the Hulk is in there. We've got a whole bunch of other reports we've talked about, but we haven't really officially gotten a lot of word about what's going on in the movie. But apparently now, the description in a new art book for the upcoming movie has kind of given our first synopsis of Spider-Man Brand New Day. This comes to us from the folks at Screen Rant who write the following. Barnes & Noble recently unveiled a listing for the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day, The Art of the Movie book by Jess Harold, which also comes with the first plot synopsis for the Phase 6 installment. Here it is. Marvel Studios is proud to present the latest volume in its acclaimed Art of the Movie series as Spider-Man swings back into the silver screen. 4 years have gone by since we last caught up with our friendly neighborhood hero. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man is at the top of his game, keeping New York City safe. Things are going well for our anonymous hero until an unusual trail of crimes pulls him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. In order to take on what's ahead, Spider-Man may not only needs to be at the top of his physical and mental game, but he must also be prepared to face the repercussions of his past. And then it goes on to kind of describe the book. All right. This answers not a lot of questions, but it answers one big one that I've personally had heading into this. How much time has passed between the end of No Way Home and this? Has Spider-Man been moping around for a few days before building up the courage to try to go and talk to MJ again? Has it been a year? Has it been 2 years? But they've kind of tried to make it as much in real time as possible. They're saying 4 years has passed. Peter's been gone 4 years without talking to Ned or MJ. And it's because, I remember when we would talk about it before, it's like whenever he does approach MJ and stuff like that, in 4 years, she has literally built an entirely new life for herself. Ned will have, at this point, after 4 years, built an entire life for himself that is far separate and far removed from when they were a tight-knit group. And so I also like hearing that he's basically spent these years being the more street-level, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which I know something is, Rob, that you've really been wanting to see. And
I really love that.
Go back to. So that's a pretty interesting thing there. So again, now, look, they don't go into the role that Bruce Banner plays into it. They don't go into the role of, is he mutating into a spider? They don't go into anything about Sadie Sink's Jean Grey. They don't go into any of that kind of stuff. But even just telling us that he's been doing his thing as Spider-Man, he's going to college. It's been 4 years since the last thing. That's a lot more concrete information than we've had before. And Rob, I think it's the right decision. I was half expecting them to picking this up 2 weeks after the events of No Way Home, to be honest with you. I think it's the right decision to jump ahead 4 years. Yeah. But it does create some interesting ramifications of the fact that it means Ned and MJ have built entire lives. I don't know. You read this little synopsis. What does that make you speculate about the film? What do you think it ultimately means? And do you like what we're hearing from this?
One, I like it very much. I mean, that means it's been 4 years since the end of Endgame, more than that, which I like how the MCU kind of pushes forward the lives of these characters. And then we can just assume that there's so much information we don't know because they were leading their lives. But what I'm really curious, too, about this movie is I want to know what life has Peter Parker made for himself in those 4 years. Like, how does he exist? Because did he get his paperwork? Did he figure out a way to reestablish his identity? Is he even called Peter Parker anymore to the world at large? Because you can create a brand new identity for yourself. You can be whoever you want. And I want to see how they've like you bring up, how has Peter Parker moved on? What does he do? How do you get an apartment? How do you get a job? How do you drive a car? And what's he doing? And I think that'll be fascinating to see. But I do like the idea that, and maybe he developed a friendship with Banner outside of the movie. So when we meet him, he's already friends with the guy because they're both scientists. They both, and it's just that Banner doesn't know he's Spider-Man, or does he? You never know, because people don't know Banner. I guess they would know Banner's the Hulk now because he became Professor Hulk. But I'm really excited for this movie. It intrigues me because it sounds different than the other three Spider-Man movies. We don't have any sense of what's going on. The story is really focused. In Spider-Man No Way Home, there's all the villains and there was the other Spider-Man. This has to be a story about Peter Parker. Not with his relationship with Tony Stark and getting iron armor or whatever. It's got to be about him. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing the most. Tell me a story about Peter Parker and his travails.
I also think we might be misleading ourselves into thinking we're going to come into this movie and nobody knows who Peter Parker is. Right. Because remember, it's been 4 years.
And he'd have to
Because like you just pointed out, it very well could be that he maybe already has a connection with Bruce Banner. And at some point in the last 4 years, he did reveal to him all of his history and what has actually happened.
Yeah, that'd be a mistake, though, after all that.
Well, yeah. But, or maybe he's shared it with Doctor Strange. Not that Doctor Strange is in this movie at all. it does raise an interesting question. You made me think of something though, Rob. Is the state we're going to find Hulk in? Because when we got into Endgame, it's just, oh, hi, I'm Professor Hulk. This happened off camera years.
Right.
I've merged my two identities. I'm now just one thing. From what I understand, it sounds like they're reverse engineering that in the Spider-Man. We're just, because it's been 4 years, we're going to come in and we're going to see Bruce like, oh yeah, I split myself again years ago. I split myself again, just so you know. Off camera, here I am. And so I wonder what they're doing with that. By the way, there were some reports going around and people writing to me, John, did you see that they revealed that we're going to have Savage Hulk? And like everybody was writing on in this thing. And I looked it up and all it was a picture from a toy box that showed Hulk angry. And everybody was like, we're getting Savage Hulk. No, it's Hulk just looking mad. Although I will say it does look more like Hulk as Hulk rather than as Professor Hulk.
Or could be an evolution in Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference.
There's whispers we might be getting a gray Hulk, like a Mr. Fix-It kind of Hulk or something like that. So, I mean, I am really curious to find out where we get. And then, of course, the big mystery. The other one I was kind of looking in the synopsis for some direct answers to was Sadie Sink and Jean Grey. Again, from my understanding, she is going to be Jean Grey. And
I don't really know. Yeah.
How that's going to be tied into it. Does that, bring up the issues? Because apparently one of the things Peter's talking to Banner about is mutation. And that can bring up the whole, all that kind of stuff. So it leaves a lot of questions still on the board, but I still think it's fascinating that's at least painted the context. 4 years later, he's remained basically anonymous, should be getting ready to graduate college at this point, I would think. And we'll see where they go with it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The new art book from the movie, at least according to the Barnes & Noble's website, has given us insight into Spider-Man Brand New Day, talking about the fact that they are doing a 4-year time jump, which I didn't think they would do. I thought they would pick it up right closer to the events of the last movie, and a little bit of an insight into what Peter's been doing. What do you take away from this? What does this tell you about the other things that may be going on in the movie? What big questions do you still have remaining? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to do two specific things. Number one is bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Again, Rob, True Noir is now out in the wild for people to go and enjoy. Where can people go find it?
You can get it on Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you go. I saw I guess Google Play in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, like I was looking at I don't know if it's translated, but it is out, so you should be able to get it worldwide. It's 4.5 hours and it's star-studded. Katie Sackhoff's in it, Rosenbaum's in it, David Strathairn, Anthony LaPaglia, Bill Sadler,
Chris Carr,
the great
Carr's
Chris
in it.
Carr. She's our main character's love interest, and she is terrific. She knocks it out of the park.
All right, guys, make sure you go and check that out. Now, the other thing we need to do before we get to your live questions here is we need to pay some bills and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends over at Factor. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Factor. Cold days, packed schedules, and let's be honest, when February hits, staying on track with eating well gets tough. And that's why I love Factor. Factor makes eating healthy deliciously easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs so you can eat well without the planning, shopping, or cooking. One of my main go-to meals lately is their high protein options. You're getting quality functional ingredients like lean proteins, colorful vegetables, whole foods, and healthy fats. Plus, they have over 100 rotating weekly meals, including Calorie Smart, Mediterranean, GLP-1 support, ready-to-eat salads, and even their new Muscle Pro collection for strength and recovery. Everything arrives fresh, never frozen, and is ready in about 2 minutes. All that and more is why I highly recommend Factor. Head to factormeals.com/Campea50off and use the code Campea50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. And thank you to our friends at Factor for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that all down, let's get over to the important stuff, shall we? We're going to go over to your live comments and questions. Just so you know, I already saw some people asking. We did turn off the super chats. They are now turned off, but we do have a bunch of them got in before we turn them off. So, Jonathan, what we got up first?
Reptarsis. Super excited to see Hulk in the new Spider-Man. From top to bottom, who do you think is the best actor to have ever played Hulk Bruce Banner?
Ooh.
Boy, do you put Edward Norton above? I mean, what is he asking exactly? The best who's performed it or the best actor in that role?
If you're asking about the best actor in the role, I think I would have to say, who did you just say?
Edward Norton?
Yeah, I would have to probably say Edward Norton. I think, look, all due respect to Mark Ruffalo, who is an amazing actor.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Norton is like an elite level actor. So I'd have to say him, but who's best in the role? That's tough. That is really tough. I'm going to go Bill Bixby.
Wow.
How's that for a left field answer?
All right.
I'm going to go Bill Bixby.
He brought the sadness.
Dun, 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 dun. One of the great superhero theme musics, actually.
Yeah.
Ever is that, and very, very recognizable and all that kind of stuff.
For an otherwise fairly silly show.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking about just like the MCU in general, and by the way, there was the Eric Bana one, of course, and I liked his performance as Hulk. I did. But the guy who's really had the opportunity to define the role is Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
He kind of now is Banner. So overall, I'll say Bill Bixby, but if we're talking about like in the modern movie universes, I'm going to go with Mark Ruffalo. All right, what's next?
Anthony, here's something you might be able to answer. In Doomsday, do we get a resolution to what the beacon and Shang-Chi's rings were signaling?
I cannot answer that. That I cannot answer. So it's an excellent question. I'm glad somebody's still thinking about that, but I can't answer.
Excellent.
All right, what's next?
Josh. I was getting sick of political news recently, decided to unwind with my first time viewing of Eyes Wide Shut. Oh boy, has it aged wonderfully.
It's a really good, now, you know what, Jonathan? It's a really good movie. I think some people are a little sheepish about talking about it because it's a lot of filthy.
Sure.
It's a risque film. Absolutely it is.
But that's not all it's about.
No, but that's not, it's a very good movie at its core. And I'm glad you had a chance to go check it out. All right.
We got Raymond who says Spider-Man 4-year time jump better not hold a torch that long for MJ, Spidey, and no one will ever believe the spell thing. It's just stalkery.
It's just stocky talk. Yeah. I wonder about that. Because you're right. Because you like, what is he at the end of No Way Home? Like 19, 20? Whatever they're going to say he was.
They had just graduated, so 18 to 19.
18 to 19.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're that age, you move on pretty quickly. But they're going to say he's still holding on to this torch. Because remember, we saw in the leaked trailer him walking down the street, rehearsing his lines. Hey, MJ, this is going to sound really weird to you, but you and I know each other. Remember that in that leaked trailer? So apparently he has held the torch for that long.
I'll tell you, the only way that works is this: it's written in a script, because in real life, she moved on too.
Well, I think that is part of the movie. I think she's probably has moved on. She has a new life. I don't know that he knows about it, but I think she has moved on. He has had a new life. So, I mean, like, that's a long time to hold on to a flame. All I can say is Peter Parker's probably most frequently visited websites or something like Pornhub. But yeah, somehow he's just kind of hung in there, I guess.
Jeez.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Scott, who says, thoughts on Halle Berry saying she's not in Doomsday? I believe it. I mean,
well, I remember literally years ago her saying that she was not going to be in the next Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all speculate she would, because remember, right around the time that they were starting to shoot some stuff, there are some pictures came out of her on social media where she had a very stormy looking haircut.
Right.
But she's been pretty insistent for years now that she wasn't in it. So
I believe
this
she was
latest comment isn't new. This is just
Yeah.
her reaffirming something she's been saying for
And I
years.
believe that her with that haircut appeared in another performance that she did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So again, look, whether that's a misdirect or not, who knows? To the best of my knowledge, she is not in Doomsday. But again, there may be gaps in what I know or changes that have been made since reading the stuff that I read. But to the best of my knowledge, yeah, she's not in Doomsday.
Bobby Jackson says, John, have you seen the leaked character images of Tombstone, Tarantula, Scorpion, etc.? And do you think they're real?
I think they're real. I think they're toy-based stuff, if that's the stuff you're talking about.
I've seen that. But
Yeah, I've seen that. But again, when it's toys, we've seen this happen before on a number of occasions where what gets released with the toy stuff doesn't always line up exactly with what's in the movie. So I didn't really pay much attention to it, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Joe says, is this an overreaction? Project Hail Mary, Disclosure Day, The Odyssey, Digger, and Dune Part 3 will all be nominated for Best Picture.
Let's see, Project Hail Mary, Disclosure Day, The Odyssey, Digger.
I don't know about Best Picture.
Well, I'm not seeing anything
Could
on there
be.
that's an obvious
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it
Remember,
could be.
we do get 10 nominees. It's a Steven Spielberg film. You got an 80% chance whenever he puts out a film that it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. Odyssey, I think everybody believes has a good shot at being a Best Picture nominee.
A lot of
we all
genre in
around
that,
here,
but I like it.
yeah, I got to say that's a pretty good list. I think the odds are probably pretty good
Yeah.
that all those do. I mean, odds are one of them won't, but I think it's a fairly safe bet to list those what, 4 or 5.
It's 5, yeah.
And remember, there are 10 nominees, so why not? I think that's a fairly safe list.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
A. Marcellus, honestly, a 4-year, 4-year time jump is fine by me. Spider-Man is in his early 20s during his university years, is prime Spidey to me. I got sick and tired of stories that kept resetting him in high school. I have to kind of agree. Because of my age, when I got into Spider-Man comics, he was in his 20s and 30s. So I knew an adult Spider-Man, not a teenager.
Yeah, I think when I started reading Spider-Man, he had already gotten married to Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they constantly go back, and I understand why. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. But every time we get Spider-Man, like even in the new Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man animated show,
Yeah.
it's little boy Peter Parker, but literally for decades and decades and decades and decades, he's been big boy adult Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of nice that we finally get into some stories about him and as an adult.
Yeah.
And
And you
I'm
got-
kind of looking forward to that.
And you got that with the Sam Raimi, as he, like, by Spider-Man 3 and whatever, he was definitely an adult. So Silent Ghost says, I'd like to move to a more liberal and affordable place with little to no snow. Any recommendations based on that? Well, California is very expensive, so you don't have the income. But I mean,
Depends on where you...
Yeah.
California's a big place.
New Mexico is beautiful too.
New Mexico's... Utah is
Yeah.
beautiful, but you are
But New
gonna get
Mexico
winters
is
there.
more conservative. If he wants liberal leaning, you got
But you
New
know
Mexico.
what? I'm sorry, not to get into politics, but when you look at the national polls, pretty much everywhere in the country is starting to lean more liberal.
well, the
So you could probably move anywhere.
The
at this
reality
point.
is most states are actually purple. Very few are blue or red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with exceptions of like,
Of course.
Texas,
Yeah.
California, New York, things like that. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Silent Ghost. I'd like. Oh no, sorry, I just read that one. Yatu. Hey John, do you regret knowing everything that happens in Doomsday? I find the speculations leading up to the movie a big part of the experience.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That speculation is a big fun part of going into these big movies. Again, as long as you as a film fan understand to do not let your speculation become expectation. It's very important. But you're right. Being able to speculate about the movies going into them is a big fun part of it. That being said, everything I have learned about Doomsday has done nothing but rev my engine to 100. I am so ludicrously excited to see all the stuff that is coming on screen. And by the way, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, there are still some potential gaps in my knowledge. Like, from little things can be changed from the stuff that I've read. A couple little things might be added. So I could still, there's still some uncertainty. But yeah, all the basic plot beats for everything that happens from Act 1 to Act 3, I know all that. But do I regret knowing it? I absolutely do not. It has made me so ludicrously excited for this thing. They're piece by piece information about the movie is coming out. Now, there still continues to be a lot of stuff that comes out, like new rumor about Doomsday, and it's totally wrong. But in the midst of every 3 or 4 of the wrong things, I'm seeing a couple of the true things coming out. Remember, I said I think by summer, the whole thing's going to be out there. As a matter of fact, remember I said there's this one moment in Doomsday that is going to be like the ultimate WTF spoiler moment? That is going to...
I've seen other things, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that has not... That's not even in any of the whispers or rumors yet. But I think maybe the second biggest one...
People are touching
out
on
there,
it.
because remember I texted it to you the other day, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Somebody sent in a question, and which we never addressed. But I copied and pasted and sent it to Rob and Jonathan. I'm like, this part is already, people don't know if it's just rumor or not, but this part is out there now. And I'm telling you, this thing's all gonna be out there. But yeah, listen. At the end of the day, do I regret knowing? No, I don't. But just because it looks so ridiculously good, I can't wait for it. All right.
Okay,
what's next?
We got Joe who says, I promise you can answer this based on what you know about Doomsday. Will casual audiences be just as satisfied as comic book readers? I think that applies to the entire MCU.
Yeah, look, it's a totally fair question. And especially when you're talking about storylines like Time Runs Out and Secret Wars, which is what Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars is based on, these storylines. They're going to take big liberties with them. But because these stories are very inside, intermediate level comic book reader kind of stuff, I believe they've done a very good job in structuring Doomsday in such a way that nobody is going to feel lost. I think there's definitely going to be some nuance that will go over some people's heads, that maybe the more advanced comic people will understand and appreciate a little bit more. But as a functional movie, I think they have done a great job taking what could be a very in the weeds kind of story and made it in such a way that a relative novice can come into it and not feel lost. I think they've done a very, very good job with that. All right, what's next?
TK Game says, hey, John, blink twice if the X-Men die in Doomsday.
Not going to say or do anything.
Yeah, any blinks are natural.
Keep my eyes closed. No blinks.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Caden, Wall-E, The Avengers, Transformers, first movie I ever saw in theater. Transformers, I'm assuming was. Interstellar and The Force Awakens, my top 5 of all time.
I love all those films.
You want to keep it up?
Bring that list up again. Wall-E, love Wall-E. The Avengers, I still think is the best comic book movie ever made. The first Transformers, I adored. Everything else was crap. Interstellar was great, and The Force Awakens I thought was great. I mean, none of those films are in my top 10 or top 5 all-time favorite films, but that's the great thing about films and the subjectivity of them, is that you can have those 5 fantastic films, and none of them are on my list, but I love your list nonetheless. All right, what's next?
Steve O'Reilly says, I really love the dialogue McFeely writes. Do you have a favorite line in the Doomsday script? If so, can you give any hints on what the character
give
says?
You nothing.
Yeah. Can't.
No. I love, like, people know at this point I am not going to answer certain questions, but they keep trying to word it in tricky ways to get something out of me. Not coming.
Yeah.
Not coming.
The most you could say is yes or no, and even then.
Yep.
Then we got Vikas, who says Starfighter will start a new Star Wars era. Overreaction?
Well, listen, there's some speculation. Okay, let me back this up a little bit. We talked the other day when we were talking about Mandalorian and Grogu, that when asked about, the stat of Star Wars right now, even Dave Filoni said our big emphasis right now is on Starfighter. It's like, dude, you've got another movie coming out between now and then, and they're all looking at Starfighter. There is some whispers around the industry that they're looking at Starfighter as being the next trilogy. You don't get Ryan Gosling, and you don't get why am I freezing?
Sean Levy.
What's that?
Sean Levy.
Well, not Sean Levy, but she was Lois Lane in Man of Steel. Amy Adams. You don't get Amy Adams and Ryan Gosling and a director like Sean Levy for a one-shot deal.
It's kind of odd, right?
You get them on with the hope and potential that you're going to be able to franchise this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like in everything in Hollywood, it's all going to come down to how does the first one do? I think they've got a lot of faith in the movie. Now the question will be, will people turn out for it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're kind of low key looking at making this Starfighter into a trilogy, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
All right, Daniel gives us a versus Transformers or Fast franchise, and man, I never thought I'd ever side with Fast, but it's Fast.
Okay, then it depends though.
There's only one Transformers I like.
But
I guess Bumblebee.
when you say that's the thing. When you say Transformers, do you just mean that the first proper franchise that Michael Bay directed?
That's how I take it.
Do you also include Bumblebee, and do you include the recent Transformers 1 animated movie?
I don't think you include that.
Which, by the way, is the best Transformers movie ever made.
But if you're including Bumblebee, you got to include Hobbs and Shaw.
Sure, okay, sure, and include Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? That's a very good point. I liked Hobbs and Shaw. Transformers 1 was the best Transformers movie ever made. I just couldn't believe how good that movie was. I was very, very shocked by it. I think overall, I'll go with Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Overall.
And screw you, Daniel, for making me ever choose Fast for anything.
Yeah. But listen, there's a look, notwithstanding 9 and 10, which were garbage.
Sure.
And I didn't like the first couple either.
Nor did I.
There's a bunch of Fast and the Furious movies I really enjoy. I love
stuck in the middle
4,
there. Yeah.
5, 6, 7, and I even really like 8. Not as much as the other ones. So, yeah, from a sheer volume, I'll go. I mean, look, I'm a bigger Transformers fan.
Sure.
But if you're saying versus the Transformers movies as we have them versus the Fast and the Furious movies as we have them, I'll go with the Fast and the Furious movies.
Silent Ghost, will Sinners win the most Oscars in history?
No, it won't. It won't get close. There's a lot of, listen, it just set the record for most nominations. And there's a number of them that's got good shots to win, but there's a lot of categories you can look at and just go, oh, it's not winning that. It's not winning 11. It's not winning 11. There's just too many categories we can look at and say, okay, great that they got nominated. They have no chance to win here.
That means the other frontrunners underperformed severely.
Yeah, I have to underperform significantly.
Yeah.
So no, Sinners, by the way, would still be my vote to win Best Picture of the Year. I love Sinners. It's my favorite movie of 2025, but no, it has no chance at getting 11. I mean, it would have to get 12 to be the most all time, but it's not even going to tie the record at 11. It's going to come nowhere near it. All right.
Mr. Webster just finished True Noir. Outstanding work. Awesome, man.
Yeah, Rob worked so long and so hard, frankly, longer and harder than it should have been on a 4-hour audio drama. But he put so much passion into that, and they got top tier talent, and it really deserves an audience. So I'm glad you checked it out. He did a great job on it.
Okay, our final 5. Christopher Brickner, compared to Hemsworth, Chris Evans has only had 3 sets of directors for Captain America, and aside from Avengers 1 and 2, all films with Captain America as a lead were from the same writer. Interesting.
That is interesting. Well, wait a minute. 3. The Captain America movies only had 2 sets of directors. I'm freezing on who directed Captain America: The First Avenger.
3 sets.
But then the other 2, Captain America: Winter Soldier and Captain America: Civil War,
were both
both the Russo brothers. So there's only really 2 sets of directors.
First Avenger was Joe Johnston.
Right. Yes, that's who did the first one. By the way, third most underrated comic book film of all time is Captain America: The First Avenger. But yeah, so I think in his individual films, he's only had two sets.
Yeah.
But Chris Hemsworth's only had 2 as well.
Brana and
Oh, no, he had 3. He had Brana in the first one, the Game of Thrones guy.
that's right.
For Thor: The Dark World,
Yes,
and then he had Taika Waititi for the final 2. That's
I would love
right.
to see Brana return.
I would love to see Brana return. Would love it.
We
What's
got
next?
Christopher Brickner again, who says that's surprisingly consistent. Oh, consistent creatives for Cap. Well, it was the Russo brothers. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
All right. What's next?
Mr. Rest in peace, Tom Noonan. Will always be the Ripper from Last Action Hero, and Kane from
RoboCop. Yeah, and a lot of people forget he didn't have a huge role in Heat, but a lot of people forget he was in Heat. Yeah, he's just one of these guys that he's not a household name, but man, when you look at his resume and his career and the films that he got to help bring to our pop culture consciousness, just an incredible career. All right, what's next?
Final 2. QL Nari. I know I probably butchered that. I'm sorry. It will be awesome if Jason Segel showed up on Nobody Wants This as Jimmy from Shrinking. Oh, as his character?
Yeah, but they're two. One's on Apple, one's on Netflix. By the way, I got to mention this. One of the greatest moments in television history happened last night.
What's that?
So the new episode of Shrinking comes out. And for those of you who watch the show, this is just general context. Harrison Ford's character, Paul, has been away from his job, recovering from something. So he's been away from the office, away from his job.
Yeah.
In last night's episode, I'm not giving away any of the plot, just something that happens that Ann and I laughed hilariously at and also had to pause and rewind and watch again.
Mm-hmm.
Paul returns to the office and he comes through the doors with his arms raised, returning to the office, and does this. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, ba. He literally sings the Indiana Jones theme as his triumphant return coming back into the office. It is one of the greatest moments in television history, in my opinion. By the way, again, can I just say, this might be the best show on television. Shrinking. I mean, I'm just floored. Every single episode is masterful. Masterful emotionally, masterful humor. I just can't get over how good this show so consistently is. But anyway, yeah. Watching Harrison Ford coming through the door as another character going, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, ba. I lost my mind. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Here's our final one from Silent Ghost. Thoughts on YouTube being down last night? I was definitely affected across all platforms.
I didn't even realize till this morning because I was if you know, when you log onto your YouTube account on your television, either through like your Google TV device or whatever,
right,
Roku, and it brings up all the accounts first, and you click on your own profile. I clicked on my profile, and then my profile disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
I went, huh, that's weird. Relog in, and that brings up the barcode. It brings up the QR thing.
It
take a picture, go to log in. Sorry, we've encountered a problem. I'm like, what do you, and I started freaking out that my YouTube channel got deleted or something.
That would have been terrible.
But then I went on my phone. I'm like, no, my channel's still there. So I went through this panic for like 20 minutes and then all of a sudden it just started working again. I didn't realize till this morning. I thought it was just a glitch. I didn't realize until this morning that I read that it was YouTube having technical problems.
Yeah,
overall.
I was on it when it happened.
Whew! Because I thought somehow, some way, the YouTube channel got deleted. So
all I thought of was, I'm glad that didn't happen on like 11 or 12 o'clock, right before we're about to go live.
Yeah, as we're doing the show or something. Anyway, and all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. By the way, for those of you who are channel members, big thank you for being channel members. We are having a channel member town hall stream tonight at 5 p.m. Los Angeles time. So if you are a channel member, and you have to be a channel member, come on by and join us later tonight. I'll take some of your questions, give you some updates about the channel, just a very casual get-together sort of thing. So if you are a channel member, I will look forward to seeing you a little bit later tonight. So, big thank you to Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
I see you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.